Hey everybody, I'm back, and this is a short video on clouds and what I think about them. Hopefully I'll do a more detailed uh, video on these interesting creatures of the sky. Enjoy the show. This photo was taken, I think, around 2006, and this is, I think, looking east from Central Park. Not sure, but I was in Central Park that day. And I took this photo because of the luminosity of the clouds and how um, vibrant this uh, rainbow cloud right through the midsection horizontally. You have this uh, rainbow tinge to the edge of the cloud, and right above it, you can see pretty clearly a chemtrail. And above and around the chemtrail, you see the cirrus clouds. I think I can even point some out to you here. And here you've got the cirrus clouds, the wispiness, and the cirrus clouds are living things, in my opinion. And I also have some really other odd artifacts in this photo. And this was done with a Konica camera from the 1970s and had a very, really rich selection of filters that you could put to it. And I was getting these developed at a CVS, so, in looking at a lot of these things, I sometimes think, well, okay, maybe this is dust. Maybe it's a manufacturing. But as we look at it, we see it's kind of integral to the photograph. Here's an interesting one. Let's look at that real close. See what we get. I mean, it washes out. I mean, you lose definition very quickly, but it is analog. It's been transferred to a digital, file, but it was originally on 35 millimeter film, old school. So it sees and what it sees, and it takes a picture of it. Let's see here if we can get back to. And this is what I'm talking about here. That's what grabbed my eye that day. I didn't see that or that. The chemtrail was there, and I thought this kind of angularity was odd, so I snapped away. Moving right along. Clouds are alive is my theme today, and this is a an image from around that time, and I took this photo uh, looking at the sunset from my good friend Dina's house. And Dina's little dog, a Scotty, that looked exactly like that shape right there, yeah, um, had passed away from lung cancer. And this is during a period where we were being hit with chemtrails routinely, all the time. It was really heavy. And she's the one who spotted it, and she says, "George, come out. You got to see this. Look at this." And I took the picture, and there it is. And what can I say about that other than, are the cloud people listening? If clouds are living things, I believe they are. Here's the full picture, give you context of what we were looking at, and you know, very loved member of the family, the little doggy, passed away, I think, 2 or 3 days before this photo. Interesting, isn't it? Here we have a pair of flyers, and I call these no planes. And again, a lot of things shows up in these old Konica photos. This stuff. Now, if it was dirty camera lens and stuff, it wouldn't always be in different places. You would see a smudge in the same spot from photo to photo, and we don't in these collections. And then, of course, I saw this in the sky, and again, this is back in that period, the middle 2000s, 2006, 2007. Yeah, that's not a normal contrail, folks. Looks like chemicals to me, but there you go. That's just plain weird. Here's a detail of that fabulous display in New York City. And what we're going to do is I'll go ahead and see if we can get a close up on some of the weird objects here. Like, look at this down here in the corner. These things are fascinating to me. You see them all the time in these old photos. And there's a quality like this. There's a, a, a logic to it. I mean, just weird. There's another one. They're never in the same place. There's another one there, right? Never in the same place. And you get up on it real close. By this time it's just pixelated. There's a shape here. Couldn't tell you what it was. Yeah, right? Just weird. This was taken in the backyard in Sharon, Connecticut. Just a stunning sunset. And we can move in on this. Let's move in on that. Look at that thing there. Right? Now, if this was, again, it's not in the same places. It has this little like energy field thing going on. There's another one over here. Right there. Let me just... But as you can see, it just gets pickleated. Pixelated. Okay, we'll back out a little bit here. Get it back to its... You can appreciate. See, I'm disinclined to think that this is dirty camera because I kept that camera clean. It was taken care of. It was old school, but it was really... I'm going to see what we see up here. I'm seeing things that I haven't seen before because I digitized all this stuff recently. And now I can examine it. I mean, look at that. That don't look like a... That looks like a craft to me. Just saying. Just saying. Here's another weird one. Look at that. Look at this weird guy here. Right? And is it self-illuminated or is it catching the sunlight from below? You see? That makes me, if it was a manufacturing problem over at CVS or wherever I had the photos developed, yeah. Now, the whole point of this, discussion is that I did a lot of research on clouds. And we don't see the same clouds that we saw in the 1960s, as I remember. There were far more natural clouds in where I was, whatever those locations would have been, mostly Rockland County, New York, not far from New York City. We had a lot of pollution days in those days. The 1960s and 70s, the air hadn't been cleaned up by the Clean Air Act yet. And we have by far a much cleaner skies in the surrounds of New York City when they're not chemtrailing. But see, the chemtrails sparked me to want to do something. Okay, here we go. This is an older photo. Yeah, okay, so it's still from that era. Look what we got down here. Another one of these guys. Again, never in the same spot on the camera. You know, it's always in different places. These little artifacts. Not digital. This is analog. This is film. Beautiful colors, though, right? Just beautiful colors. Look at all that stuff on there. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on. Now, cirrus clouds are these wispy ones. Long, wispy things. This almost looks like aurora borealis, but it's not. That's a cirrus cloud, and it's giving us a rainbow effect, refracting light from the sun. And here's another. Again, I've not seen this before. You know, I don't. Uh, these photographs were all prints and negatives, and I was forward thinking enough at the time that a good proportion of these photographs I also bought the CD disc that was offered in the developing. I mean, that's just weird. I mean, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe it's just, again, manufacturing. I'm open to ideas here. You know, the developers may have had dirty equipment, but the image of these little images of things. Now that's not that's in there. This little guy here, that's part of the structure of the clouds. I don't think that's manufacturing defect. Let's take it on. And the cirrus clouds are very unique. They have a different quality than other clouds, and they are often said to bring weather. They bring the rain. They predict the rain. Well, that's not good anymore because the atmosphere has been so modified by this point. We're getting structures like these, and this is a chemtrail that's actually, you know, spreading out and breaking down. And there's a whole story behind that I'm going to do a show on. But for this, I just want to show clouds and their various states that you can find them in, and how they play with light. And we'll just keep moving along here, and let's get to the next one. Well, that's on its side. That's okay, because if it's not on its side, you wouldn't get the whole full picture. You know, it would be reduced. So this is the full frame, and this is over Connecticut, and there was so much action. And again, it would be the same thing if it was the camera. It would be the same thing in the same spot, but it never is. It's always these different little apparitions going on during this time period. And maybe when we get into the more modern digital photos that I have from, I have a Sony camera, a small pocket camera, very high quality. What is that, right? What is that? Sky critters. But this is a lacy sky where you have been chemtrailed relentlessly, and the cirrus clouds are in with it, and they eat the chemtrails. That's my theory. I have good reasons to think that way. Oh, there you go. Okay, so there it is straightened out. I forgot that I did that. But there's a chemtrail sky, and in a mixed amongst it, you got these cirrus clouds working on the dustiness, on whatever that material is, and all of this haze here. It's not. You can't really call that purely atmospheric water. You know, it's not entirely water. I think there's a lot of particulates in it from the action of the so-called airplanes, contrails, which, you know, it's pretty silly to think that we're still calling that stuff contrails when they're really loaded with chemicals. They're chemical trails. And here you go. I mean, here's that fantastic light play, and the sun's light being refracted in what water particulates are in this mix of cloud and chemtrail. See, there's those wispy bits, and they seem to interact with the more solid-looking bits. Now we're looking at a cloud. It's probably upside down. Like a lot of these old digitized photos came on the disc upside down. So somebody was lazy there at their digitizing department at Kodak. But I mean, very strange structure there, and I really don't have anything really concrete to offer. But the image is showing the fallout and interaction between what I call schmutz in the sky and the cirrus clouds, those high, usually high altitude cirrus clouds. And I just thought that was cool. This is a photograph that I took that same period, so it's on that same 2006 roll. And I was practicing taking pictures of aerial objects in motion. And I saw this red-tailed hawk way up. I mean, it was way up. And I just couldn't help myself. And I tried, and you can't manually focus when something is flying over your head at high altitude. So I did the best I could, and it's holding it still and not shaking and doing my best to get it focused in less than a second. So yeah, that's a real impressive creature there, and lucky to get it. And it's kind of, I look at this and I think I'm living in a very hopeful world, right? We do have a future, whether we like it or not. And we're back to that sunset. It's incredible light play as these clouds are creating art for us. Now the thing about the thing about cirrus clouds is they have behaviors, and I've observed them moving independently of wind fields or jet streams, and I've observed them at much lower altitude than they should be, hundreds of feet off the ground instead of above 10,000 feet, usually above 20,000 feet. And this one is doing that light play again. It's catching the sun. It's almost like a sundog. And here's a feature. Look at that. Let's zoom in on it. What do we have here? It's not consistent with what else is going on in this cloud. I'm not going to say it's anything other than more cloud or material that's been dumped into the cloud. But it is odd. It is odd. This almost looks like a feather. In the old days, they called them mare's tails, and that they were indicative of incoming weather, usually in the form of wet stuff, such as rain, right? So now we have a nice mix of fair weather clouds and cirrus clouds, which I'm sure we're dealing with, chemtrails. And when you have this fair weather clouds, they've already been, kind of purified. But the clouds that are still what I call two-dimensional, flat-looking, dirty-looking clouds like this in here and these guys here, they're being worked on. That chemical schmutz in the sky, as I call it, is being worked on, being eaten, and you can just barely make out some of the more wispy stuff, right? Just barely see it, and then they're interacting, and as you can see, this is a kind of a let's move in on this. Let's move in on this because this is kind of a pretty good illustration of what I'm talking about. So you can see the interaction. There's these very fine, almost invisible cirrus clouds, and then you have this remnants of a chemtrail, and you can see spots of normal cloud coming out of it. Now, one of my theories is the chemtrails were to cause droughts and to make a blanket artificial cloud cover to make global warming worse, not better, especially at nighttime, because cloud cover at night will actually keep the Earth temperatures warmer down below them. Sure, in the daytime it creates shade, but at night it elevates the nighttime temperatures. So here you can see a little spots of fair weather clouds getting their act together as the cirrus clouds are separating the water vapor, making the cloud, the more natural looking cloud, from the chemtrail, and then the chemtrail material falls out. It actually falls from the clouds. You can almost see it sometimes in the fair weather clouds, but I'd have to be real close to get that kind of image. I'd have to have a real good, close-up photo of the fallout coming out from below the cloud. You can see it when you wear sunglasses. You can look at any cloud and you'll see it. You'll see that there's like this dust. And this is up in the Adirondacks. That might be Lake Champlain. Pretty certain that's Lake Champlain. And I had such a great sky field with a nice display of clouds. And there's those fair weather clouds. Another view. Now in this period, this must be digital. And I'm not sure what I'm seeing here. We got a nice little thing there. That could be somebody's house. This is weird. I want to. Yeah, that's in there. It's okay. That's a buoy. Let's see what a buoy looks like, or something. Do we even know what that is? It's amazing how you can do this. It's pretty good. That's really jamming on it. All right, so that's something. Don't know what that is. It's definitely something. And now we can't say that this would be manufacturing of, this is more from my digital cameras. I'm pretty certain, because I don't recall taking pictures of Lake Champlain. Yeah, okay. Here you go. Another one. That's not dirt on a lens either. My digital cameras were very new at this stage. Look at that. Look at a bona fide weird thing flying over Lake Champlain. This up here is probably a house. I don't think we'd get any detail. I mean, I could try. Yeah, that's too washed out. That's not though. That's definitely another pretty weird little drone, shall we say? All right. Okay. Now I'm going to move us along. I'm not going to do it that way. I like it doing this way. Again, just want to get that feeling of clouds, natural, sort of the fair weather clouds, and then look at this two-dimensional deck above it. This is just crazy, right? That's chemtrails breaking down in the sky. That's what that's about. And here's a pretty, you know, impressive, clean looking sky. And our cloud people, like, there's a nice, that's what I mean by cirrus cloud. And it's definitely interacting with a little bit of a chemtrail. Right? They eat the chemtrails. This is a like an extra dimensional battle in our skies every day, and we have these living creatures in the sky to really thank. Look at that interplay of chemtrail debris and cirrus clouds, and you're seeing the shield around the that black around this corners is actually a part of the lens um, assembly on my camera, so that I can take a picture like that. You know, the idea is to shield the sunlight from getting a lens flare on the lens. And it did a pretty good job. That's an impressive. Uh, Look at this. The heck is that? There's something there. Let's see how good this is. We can get in on it before it pixelates. See if we can get any detail. You know? Yeah. You can only push the equipment so far. But that's an impressive photo there. Here again, when there's chemtrails, there's often cirrus clouds around because the chemtrails actually, in my opinion, attack or are directed at the cirrus clouds. Now, anything in the sky that the Air Force can't control, they're they're going to attack it. They consider anything in the air they can't control as a threat, or worse, the enemy. So clouds are the enemy, folks, to the Air Force. That's a pretty, bizarre thought, right? Look at that. It's beautiful, but it's doing a job. It's actually doing something. You can get a sense of it here a little bit, right in this area here. How these tendrils come in and then they interact with the poison. Here's something left. Now is that a fair weather cloud or is that schmutz? Couldn't tell you. But there it is. Look at that. More interactions between cirrus cloud and artificial cloud. It's hard to focus on a cloud. Even the camera, when I experiment with the Nikon, and you have manual focus or autofocus, and either way, it's still a bear to get the camera to understand what it's looking at when you have something as ephemeral and diaphanous as a cirrus cloud. This is a great one from upstate. This is in Olmstedville, I think. Let's see, Minerva. Okay, same idea, same area, and we have kind of almost a surreal cloud, but here we're getting the whole thing. Here's your cirrus clouds. Here they are, kind of moving in on the remnants of chemtrails. Look at that clear spot. Look at that. Right? It's like they chew into it, and then the cirrus cloud, moves to another spot, and it leaves a little clear spot behind it. That's what it looks like. I don't know if that's what it is, but that's my opinion. This whole area here, a lot of action going on interaction, right, between this kind of thing and that kind of thing, and then you get the fair weather clouds kind of growing out of it. That's a great photo. Great photo. There's another one. It's just stunning. Almost looks like a bird. It has that, like it's got wings. Some people call them sylphs. Some people call them angels. Science calls them cirrus clouds, harbingers of rain in the old days, but that's not reliable because there's so much weather modification going on. Look at that. Interaction between something beautiful and then the debris of chemtrail clouds. And then they produce the more fair weather things that we're used to seeing. Yeah, it's just a pretty show. Pretty shot. I love this photo. And you can see the mist coming off the water at before sunrise. I got this shot. And I included it here because it shows you that the clouds have a real relationship with the ground level, not just way up high. So sometimes you have fog, and if you're walking in a fog, you're walking in a cloud, and it's something to pay attention to. I believe that there's a lot of intelligence in the clouds. I couldn't help myself when I see a beautiful cirrus cloud display. I try to capture it, and I have, limited success sometimes. And here we go again. Look, I don't know if I was looking for that or not. Let's move in on it. I may have been looking for that. What do we have here? Hey, maybe that's a fly. Maybe that's a bug. Or a hummingbird. Maybe it's a hummingbird. But you know what? Whatever that is, it's awfully high. So I don't think it's a little bug or a hummingbird. Don't know what that is. Another beautiful shot. Look at that. Fair weather clouds. Healthy looking sky. That's what we should have every day, folks. We should have beautiful skies every day. None of this trails all over the place. All right, that's an old school picture again. That's from the old camera. Now look at that. I don't see much of anything weird going on in there. The dirty, the dust particle issue is kind of debunked by this, except for this one thing up here, but it's luminous. And let's move in on it. Let's see what we got up here. Let's see what we got. That guy there. Right on it. Yeah. That doesn't look like dirt to me. That's actually part of the emulsion. That's what something got picked up there. Is it a star? No, that is not a star. It's not an airplane. It's just another. But see, this is a great test image, and this was very early on in my research. Very early on, 2006, of really looking into clouds, really studying them and documenting what's in the sky above us. And here you go. Now, digital camera. And X marks the spot, folks. Right? So if you're going to tell me that that's not an interaction between chemicals and cirrus clouds, and I would say that that's a hard argument to support. But there it is. And this side in Woodstock, right? On the corner of, what is that, 375 and Route 212. And I saw that cloud with this ominous gray cloud in front of it. A little bit of cirrus cloud action in there too. I had to take that picture. That's the awesomeness, the feeling that it gives. Just awesome. This is what we live with. We got to get out in the real world. That's again an early 2006-7 period. over Connecticut. That's over Lime Rock, Connecticut. That was a terrible chemtrail period. Oh my God, they were chemtrailing us hard. Just terrible. That is a little bit later. That's around 2007. Still the Konica camera, and that's an image of what I call a sylph battle between sylph and chemtrails. And it's a huge sylph or cirrus cloud display. And it's clear as obvious. They turned. Look at this guy. He turns it on, and there he is. There's the culprit. Let's move in on it. Let's see how good we can see with this analog image to digital. That's definitely it. And then there's one of those other things. So this guy's being like followed or something, right? By one of those things. Again, the same camera that we had that didn't have any artifacts in it. And here, look at all this action going on. What the hell is going on in this cloud? Look, we got a little guy there. All this stuff here. Look at this. Look at this. What the hell is that? 2006, 2007, folks. I was getting all kinds of stuff. But yeah, there you go. So that's not a contrail. Contrails can't be turned on and off like that. No, they can't. Let's see what this is up here. Yeah, a whole bunch of action. It's just loaded with ethereal looking things. Don't have words for some of this stuff. Just don't have words. Yeah, there you go. What kind of airplane is that? And again, cirrus clouds. Some kind of chemistry going on. Yeah, is that an airplane? I don't think so. Really don't think so. Nope, not in my book. Back to that photo. It's a good one. There we go. So we're at the top of the show. And we carry on. Remember that the clouds are living things and they care. They care about you and me and all the life on this planet.